This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education. Your power and TV. You almost made a diss track. All right, we're gonna start that again. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. This meeting is an in-person meeting located at 870 Colfax in Benton Harbor. In addition, a live stream of this meeting is available at the following link. Questions may be submitted beforehand to liz.goodwin@bhas.org or presented in person during the public comment sections as indicated in the agenda. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. Requests for special assistance, including for persons with disabilities, may be sent to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 6:07 p.m. We will begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson,
Present.
Vice President Bowen,
Present.
Secretary Triplett, President, Treasurer Creighton,
Present.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Present.
Trustee Doyle,
Present.
Trustee Gavin.
Present.
Madam President, we have a quorum.
All right, next on the agenda, we have approval of the agenda. As a reminder, today is our work session. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I do have a question.
You have the floor.
President Robinson. We were talking about training opportunities. Which date would that be? So I assume that's not today. And I see training opportunities under old business, but it says new superintendent evaluation tool. Is that also the day that we would be training on the Munetrics financial tool as well?
No, so the training for the superintendent, that's being hosted by Barry and Risa, so that's separate from us. If we chose, and I think it probably would be a bit much to try to do a dual date. We can add the Munetrics back on there and see, or either Molly, I'm not sure if you have an update for a date. If that was followed, we were waiting on you, or were we just scheduling ourselves? I can't remember. Okay, so we can put that under old business.
Thank you.
Concern question.
You have the floor.
It's an item on here that was tabled. Do we add that to the agenda or do we, what is the protocol under Robert's rule for that?
For which particular item?
B2.
So B2 was tabled last time until our next meeting. That was a conversation that we had that it would be worked on in between the meetings, and then we would come back for review for today. So it's appropriate that it's currently on the agenda.
Okay, and then the other question, I noticed that all the way up until probably like 5 o'clock, there were changes being made in documents. And with respect to, I know that we all agreed that we would do this work session, but we also do 2 committee meetings. And so I'm not sure what it's going to take for us to be more organized or for admin to be more organized. I'm spending a lot of time trying to check my email, look for updates. I'm just wondering what, because I mean, essentially we can approve the agenda, but I'm not aware of the handouts and the staff reports because there were changes being made all the way up until 5 o'clock, which is the last time I checked.
Okay, so I know that, I think it may have been about 3 o'clock. I reached out to the superintendent to ensure that we had the closed sessions the way that they needed to, and the resolution for Gavin moved up to her policy committee update, but any other changes that took place to staff reports, I'm not able to speak on, so I'll defer to Dr. Buss to clarify what was changed at that particular time.
And I guess I'm asking what is going to be the deadline? If the deadline is Thursday and then changes are still being made 5 o'clock before, after, I'm just wondering like, what can we do to just be more efficient and less chaotic?
Observation noted. And I can follow up with you guys on set and we can set a firm deadline so we can make sure that we're aware of any updates made. Any other questions about, we currently have a motion on the floor that was for approval of the agenda. However, since that initial motion was made, trustee Gavin did make a request to add the Munitrix to old business, which it should have been there for us to set a date. So I'm gonna go back to Secretary Triplett and Secretary Triplett, it's your original motion. Are you comfortable with approval of the agenda with the noted amendment to add the Munitrix to old business?
Yeah.
And do you still support trustee Raquel Martin? Okay, if there's no other questions, comments, or concerns, Secretary Triplett, oh, you have the floor.
Sorry. I meant to mention this, the staff report S1 under right sizing and S2, I'm not able to view those documents. I'm not sure if the other board members are.
Dr. Buss indicated it's in separate information that we get. I believe is it this, Dr. Buss, can you clarify?
It is in your packet, on the electronic document to be, opened up after a legal opinion.
So she has a hard copy is what
She
you're
has a hard
referencing.
copy.
So
Where is
he
that at?
Can't see the electronic until after a vote or something. I'm not.
It was requested for legal opinion on that.
Point of clarity.
You have the floor. Treasurer Creighton.
S1,
S1 and S2, yes,
so
ma'am.
we have a closed session about S1 as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote? Approval, this is the vote for approval of the agenda with the noted amendment to add Munitrix to old business.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
trustee Doyle,
Yes.
trustee Gavin,
Yes,
trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next on the agenda is review of board norms. The Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. Those are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intentions. Next on the agenda, we have public comment on agenda items. Is there anyone present for public comment on agenda items?
Madam President,
Yes.
Vice President Bowens had a suggestion that, because we have a closed session, is it possible to have, open public comments, or should he had amended the agenda to do that? Or how does that work?
I'm sorry. What were you meant?
I just want to speak to that a little bit.
Okay, so my input on it is, we do try to maintain open public comment where it is, because sometimes individuals would like to hear the actual discussion and give us feedback on it. So my preference would be that we do maintain open public comment there. However, we can give grace and allow people, if they're unable to stay throughout the full meeting, you are able to make a comment now, if you'd like. So what Treasurer Creighton indicated, or what she pointed out as a clarification for you all, is we have a closed session that is the first order of business today. So we will be going into a room where no one but us is allowed to enter. And so that may be a period of time where you all are waiting. And so normally you comment on agenda items at the start of the meeting, and then you comment on anything else or your feedback on the meeting itself at the end. And so she's wanting to ensure that if you're unable to stay throughout the meeting because of the closed session, you have an opportunity to speak now, and that's fine. So is there anyone for public comment currently? Okay, there's a statement that I'm going to read. It's brief, but you can come forward. Come forward. Okay. The Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are two areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items and open public comment. We request that each interested participant complete a public participation form using legible writing to ensure that responses are appropriate and properly focused. Per Benton Harbor Area Schools Bylaw 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments with your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once on the same topic until any other persons have had the opportunity to speak on that topic. Participants may remove their mask when addressing the board. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. Please ensure that your public participation form includes your contact information as requested. If you have follow-up questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. You have the floor. And I want to make sure the timer is set so she can get her full time.
3 minutes, 3 minutes. So I won't even be able to scrutinize you. I want to ask if we all were aware of our mission and our vision. I mean, like prompt 2, if I was to ask you, what was our mission and our vision? Would you be able to regurgitate that to me without looking at a piece of paper? The reason I ask this is because I've recently was fired. You all say you have a shortage in teachers. However, I believe I was fired because it was more about money. I worked for you guys for over 1.5 years under the impression that you were endorsing with #teach. Now, I really didn't want to make this all about me because the focus is really my students. I received several emails, phone calls. You see parents back there because my students were traumatized by me leaving. They know genuine love. They know when someone has invested in them, and I have an investment. And it's really not about, because I was employed through EduStaff, it's not about the money, it's not about the job, but it's about where my heart is. My heart is here in Benton Harbor with my students. You know, I teach in Barron Springs right now, but my heart is here in Benton Harbor. If our children was in your best interest, Superintendent, the first time that I ever met him, he came to fire me based on speculation, you know. Matter of fact, I had an email. I was being harassed and bullied. I sent the email to the principal. I tried to talk to the principal the next day. This person cornered me and he said that he has 6 witnesses. However, I spoke to many people and they all said, no. He asked, I said, I'm here for the kids, not the drama. My thing is, who fires a qualified teacher 2 weeks before the kids are out and thinking that it wasn't going to cause any trauma to my kids? 2 weeks of not being taught, being bunched up in a crowded classroom. Mind you, I'm going to leave this student nameless. When I came, was crawling on the floor, hissing like a cat. I'm the only one she will listen to. I'm the only one who can keep her in the classroom. But 2 weeks to school going out, you fire who she, not just as a teacher, I treat them like they my children. I love them. You know, I've invested in my students. So again, I'm gonna say it's not about the money, it's the principle that you're not looking at the best interest of our students. The incident that happened before school started, and again, I was bullied. So please stick to our mission and our vision.
Your name?
I'm sorry, Kim Yule Brown. And I have several emails to back up everything I'm saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there anyone else for public comment? You have the floor.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Cassandra Booker. Do I need to give my address or no?
You don't have to.
Okay. I am here actually as an advocate for my grandson. His name's Braylon Dortch. He's a 3rd grader at MLK. And just wanted to bring to the attention of the board issues I'm sure you guys are aware of and we know about in the school system, things that needs to be disclosed publicly and acknowledged. And not here just to complain, but to talk to you guys in regards to moving forward with what needs to be done in regards to resolutions, changes, and just to be a better environment for our children. Braylon is currently a student at MLK. However, he hasn't attended the school since May 16th. There's been several issues
that I've had, several complaints that I've had to file against teachers, aides, bullying going on at the school with Braylon, absence of the teacher, inconsistency in regards to the learning and the academic process as far as not having an actual teacher present, all of the majority of the time, inconsistencies. There were like 7 bullet points of concerns that I've had, that I have. I pick up Braylon's packet from school where we were doing unfortunately, a personalized schedule for him where he wasn't able to attend the school because every day I was getting calls about something. Like there's no discipline measures or no type of procedures and protocols in regards to just calling a parent. That's a problem. But I was getting so many phone calls that I was like, it doesn't make sense for me even to send him to school. Because before I can even get home, I'm getting a telephone call about something. I'm like, so what can we do in regards to the school itself, in regards to putting or actually utilizing procedures in place? Just to pick up the phone and call a parent is not the answer, period. I don't work at the school. I'm at the school 2, 3, 4 times a week, every week. So I decided to leave him home or just send him to school 2 to 3 times a week, picking up work packet on Mondays, doing the work with him at home. Because like I say, again, a lot of times his teacher was absent on an average 2 to 3 times a week. So I just feel like it was inconsistent. He wasn't learning anything. You have substitutes that's coming in, different substitutes, and there's no consistency. A teacher is the primary person to go to for the student. She knows the student. She knows his learning capability. She knows how he learns. She knows his level of learning. If the teacher's absent and you have different people coming in, that's just it's inconsistent for the kids. They're not learning anything. And so my conclusion was he was not learning. So the best thing for me was to keep him at home and teach him to the best of my ability. That's not my profession, but I know I can do better, unfortunately. So we went to 2 to 3 days a week. And then so that didn't work. So he's at home as of May 16th now, just 5 days a week. So there's some things that actually we need to address. Like we need to stop acting like these things don't exist. The teacher absences and the variable substitutes is one. The lack of alternative education resources. I've been begging looking for tutors, after school programs. I know when they were going to test and they were going to have the extended day for the kids, for the 3rd graders, and that was canceled like 3 times out of the 5 that they were supposed to take place. That's a problem. How are we testing these kids when we're not giving them the proper tools that they need? So I opted him out of testing. I don't want him tested because I feel like the school has failed him in regards to his level of learning and his academics. Unprofessional environment and discipline issues. Like I say, I'm at the school 2 to 3 times a week, and it's just totally chaotic. Kids are in the hallways. I just don't understand it, how we got 1st through 3rd graders walking around the school in the hallway doing their.
Don't be rude, but your time, if you could wrap up your comment, that would be great.
Well, okay, I just do want to say I did meet with Dr. Butts this morning, and he did listen to my complaints and my concerns. So I just want to say thank you for that. I've also reached out to Ms. Gavin, and she actually connected me with Dr. Butts. And I just want to say thank you guys for listening, and hopefully we can do better in regards to giving our children better and more structured places to learn. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you restate your name, please?
Cassandra Booker.
Okay. Is there anyone else for public comment? You have the floor.
Has the time started?
It has.
All right. Hello, my name is Dwayne L. Seats, Jr. I'm the mayor pro tem of the city of Benton Harbor. Also a resident graduate from Benton Harbor area schools. I come with great concerns today that I've received numerous calls of teacher bullying, principal bullying, and also people who are unhinged. We don't know what the word unhinged means. Look it up. who have threatened, looked up personal information, who have threatened, who have followed teachers and principals. I myself have thought that we can bring people home to teach because as when I grew up, we had people like Miss Ely, Miss McCree, Miss Johnson, a lot of others. But nobody wants to deal with the belittling and the badgering of individuals who have no mental concept of what's going on really in the heartbeat of the city of Ben Harbor or with Ben Harbor schools. I concur with this teacher here. Hopefully, that's not the situation with this young lady, that she's felt the badgering or the bullying of individuals who have not the best interest of the city of Ben Harbor. People have walked out on classrooms and done everything they could not to represent the city of Ben Harbor. I myself have had situations where, my daughter was not a part of Ben Harbor area schools. I reached out and was told that my daughter being followed or my daughter being harassed is no different than a kid with no heat in the classroom. And I have a problem with that. That's safety. Nobody wants your daughter or your son being harassed or being put in a place where their safety could be in danger or at harm. I would ask that even the human resources look into that, because in your recruiting, people want to find out that how your teachers and your administrators are being treated by individuals. If individuals feel that they can do anything they want to your staff, you have to do something to protect the people that work for you. Contact the state of Michigan. Contacted the state of Michigan about the Board of Education and asked some questions, because if people are going to come work here, they need to feel like they're secure. They need to feel like they're safe. One of the biggest things that happened to the city of Ben Harbor and the schools of Ben Harbor was school of choice, because people thought that their children would be safer somewhere else. But when I see officials who are governing this kind of behavior, when I see people who are behind microphones and desks who are behind this kind of behavior, I have a real deal problem with that. If a police officer has a problem, you come to me, you come to the mayor, you come to the city council, and you say something's wrong with that. If you have somebody who has messed with your water, you come to us and say there's a problem and we're to deal with it. When the education becomes a problem, or the educational system becomes a problem, then I need to come behind to talk to you behind these desks. And you don't need to uphold bad behavior. You don't need to uphold racism. You don't need to uphold people who are doing all kind of belligerent things to your teachers and your faculty.
Mr.
When that's done,
Comment.
and I'm sitting down and need to finish my comment. I've been there before, and I know you're in charge of being no disrespect.
Thanks, go ahead.
But I will say this: that when it came to fighting to keep the school running, I was in Lansing. A lot of people talking jive, never showed up, never got on the bus, never got on the highway, never got on the phone. I was in Lansing to help save these schools, to save the schools for the residents. So everybody talking about what they do for Black people and all this kind of rhetoric, show what you done did. Put it on paper. Show us what you did for people except money. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Seats. I just had one question, if it's okay, really quick. The bullying that you're referencing, because we didn't really get specifics. Is this an employee?
I ain't gonna say his name because I don't want them to keep on bullying him.
Principal is being bullied.
Principal has been bullied by me.
Okay.
Has been upheld by staff. And there's a teacher in the high school that has resigned because she didn't want to keep on putting up with the same badgering and behavior of people trying to find out how much money she made, how many days she had school. There's a principal right now who stopped me. I ain't stopped him. Who said that he was being bullied, belittled, and harassed by individuals who are unhinged. And people have meetings once a week to make sure this happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you follow up on that one as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else for public comment? You have the floor.
Thank you, Ron Singleton, 1122 Salem Avenue, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Man, it's, first time coming to a board meeting in probably quite some time. My concerns definitely is, some of the stuff we already heard, I mean, you have parents, saying something about the kids being bullied, you got staff saying that, and then, to hear that some of it is being, upheld, and, or spoke softly on, even by, board members, I see a whole lot of things that's just really going on. I think people fought real hard to try to, keep school, keep it going. But to see it going down the road that it's going, somehow we got to pull this thing together, we got to get out of the petty politics, the bitterness, I heard you say earlier, that the decorum that you, want to put in place, about the respect for each other, and, just because somebody vote a way that you don't like, there's no reason to be going after them and, get them out in public and, and try to scandalize their names and stuff, Hey, just, you got to agree to disagree, maybe they didn't explain their position, but it seemed that we have a pattern here, not only here in the community as a whole, that if somebody don't agree or somebody vote a different way from these little groups, then here come the attacks, I mean, I had it didn't have it happen to me, it's a lady that somebody told me she used to work at the school. Well, I can't believe that, the behavior that she, how she present herself, I would hate to see her in the classroom, in charge of some kids, and that's, real terrible. So hopefully somehow, that we can just put the bitterness aside, everybody say it was for the kids, and we want to, make things better for the kids. It ain't gonna get better with all the bitterness and hatred and, who got me and, who got this person, and then I see a lot of folks who keep up a lot of mess, and got all the answers. But if you check the record, really ain't did nothing but ran their mouth, it's just terrible, and I would love and I pray to see a turnaround, even when you're recruiting, staff, believe it or not, folks they check out, just like you check them out.
Mr. Singleton, please wrap up your
Okay,
comment.
they check you out too. So, I mean, we haven't even here at the city of Benton Harbor. I'm sitting commissioner. Hard time getting staff because, some of the things that goes on, I'm gonna start paying a little more attention. I don't have any kids in the school district now, but I still pay a whole lot of school taxes on some properties, and so I want to, start paying a little more attention, and I hope you have staff retention, glad to see the superintendent decide to stay, we just got to do better. We just got to get rid of the bitterness and put the petty politics aside.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? You have the floor.
Okay, good evening. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Morkay Chanel Long. When I brought her back
Can you
to
state your name for me?
Denisha Long,
Okay.
I brought my daughter back to this district, which I took her out just for 1 year. And I brought her back. in the midst of me bringing her back, every year I go through all the teachers with the following grade to see who I should choose as my daughter teacher. I was volunteering at MLK for like, I'm gonna say a year. And as I volunteered, I looked off into the teachers, which made me choose Miss Brown. I didn't know her, she didn't know me. I just seen her at the pop-up shop and she was teaching her kids how to count. No other teacher did that. So I said, okay, this is gonna be my daughter teacher for the next year. I came up here and I just hunted her down, and I told everybody like, I need her to be my daughter teacher. So as the year go by, my daughter progressed, going to school with her, which she's a really, really good teacher. And an incident has occurred to where she's not in the district right now teaching. So I just want them to look off into her student grades and just see the progress that she does. She go beyond her limit to help them. I live 45 minutes away, which I drive my daughter all the way back to this district because I believe this is where I want her to be. This is where I feel she should be. My mom and them have 7 kids, 5 of us graduated from Ben Harbor. So my heart is in Ben Harbor. I feel she don't need to be in no district but here. And now that the situation is going on with Ms. Brown, I just want them to look off into her teaching and just think about giving her another chance. Are janitors more important than teachers? Or are teachers for the students? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment? All right, hearing none, we will close the window for public comment. Our next order of business, we're at board business, a reminder protocol as of 9/13/2022. All comments will be limited to 2 minutes per trustee per topic. Our first order of business is a closed session. The Board of Education may hold a closed session to consider materials such as written opinions of council, which are exempt from discussion by state or federal statute, reference policy 0167.2 F. And per Dr. Butts, the attorney is planning to is going to be available at 6:45. It's currently 6:38, and so I think if we were to go ahead and take the vote to enter open session now, by the time we get in and get settled into closed session, by the time we get settled, it'll be 6:45. Just another clarification for the public. As stated at the start of the meeting, our closed session is for the board only. After we have the discussion we need to have with our council, we will come back in, return to open session and continue the meeting. You're more than welcome to stay here to wait for us because we will come back and proceed with the agenda. If you're unable to stay here the full time, you do, of course, have the luxury of leaving. I want to remind you all that we are live on Zoom, so you're also able to log in with your phone and continue to watch the meeting. So at this particular time, I'll ask if there's a motion to leave open session and enter closed session.
I make a motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we end open session and go into closed session for reference policy 0167.2 F.
Is there a second or support?
Second.
The motion was made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Vice President Bowens. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns from the board?
I
Hearing
do have a
none.
question, President Robinson.
You have the floor.
I don't know how I missed this. There's another document, Superintendent Board Checkpoint Agreement, that's in this packet as well. I don't know where.
So this is are you referencing the blank? Yep, this is just he gave this as a template to put goals on.
Okay,
So that's
Okay.
separate from what we're getting ready to do.
okay, that's available in this packet.
Yes, it's a hard copy. You wanted to write your goals on it. But if you brought your goals yourself on a different document,
Yeah, where is that
so it should be directly behind your minutes.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so my hope is that by the time Dr. Buss leaves this evening, he'll have one hard copy of this that notes the agreed upon items that we want him to focus on, and then he'll come back with goals. But that's separate from the closed session. That has to be done in open session.
Thank
Okay,
you.
any other questions regarding closed session?
Point of clarity,
Yes.
would you mind restating why we're going into closed session? Because I don't want it to be confused that we're going into closed session for the goal setting or the evaluation.
Okay, so we are going into closed session. As a reminder, the Board of Education may hold a closed session to consider materials such as written opinions of council, which are exempt from discussion by state or federal statute, reference policy number 0167.2F. So we're going in to obtain an opinion of council. And the motion was made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Vice President Bowens. If there's no additional questions, comments, or concerns, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
I do have a question.
You have the floor.
If somebody, people have been on this computer moving and doing stuff, somebody moves, are y'all moving something up? Deleting stuff, because I'm trying to get back to where I was and I can't see it. So I wish you all would stop touching this document until we finish this meeting. All that's not done won't get done.
Any other questions or comments pertaining to the closed session? All right. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
If I can find your name. President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried. We out at 6:42, and we're gonna go in.
Okay, we are entering closed session officially at 6:42 PM. All right, so the board has returned from closed session and taken a brief recess. At this particular time, I'm asking, is there a motion to end closed session and return to open session?
Madam President,
You have the floor.
I make a motion that we end closed session and return to public session, well, the main session,
Open session.
open session.
Is
sorry.
there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Secretary Triplett. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so at this particular time, we've returned to open session as of 8:14 PM.
Madam President,
1 second, Vice President Bowens. So we've had an extensive closed session. As a reminder to this board, one of our bylaws is to start and end our meetings on time. So we're about 15 minutes from where we would anticipate stopping. I'll go ahead, Vice President Bowens.
Madam President, I would like to make a motion that we allow for public comment and we end the meeting after public comment. Adjourn into our next board meeting.
Okay, so what I'm hearing Vice President Bowens is making a suggestion that we, given time, adjourn our work session for this evening, allowing for public comment and adjournment.
That is correct.
Okay, is there anyone that is in support of that motion?
So move.
Okay,
I support.
okay,
I have a concern.
you have the floor.
I would like to go over the superintendent board checkpoint
Oh.
agreement. And then otherwise, I'm okay with making an amendment to the agenda and recessing until another meeting or a special meeting is called.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make an amendment to my resolution, my motion.
You have the floor.
I would like to amend my motion that we have our superintendent board checkpoint and then citizen comments and then end the meeting into a special meeting or our next board meeting.
All right, Secretary Triplett, do you support the amended motion?
Support.
Okay, any additional questions or comments from the board? Trustee Gavin?
Okay, so I have a few concerns. We did have some things on the agenda that I believe were worth dealing with. The resolution to support fully funding schools with us being in appropriations season with the state. But what I would also, because I won't have an opportunity to make a comment, I was concerned about Ms. Brown and what happened with her. I was concerned about her speaking about being bullied. And I am wanting some answers on that. I think that, you know, if you have a teacher who was fired, who was also bullied, and who was also highly regarded by parents, for us to not do anything about that and to just let that go. And this is also a person who submitted an exit interview at a time when we were told there was no exit interview, but then she gave an exit interview. And so like, there's a lot of concerns about this issue. And I'm hoping that we won't just ignore this. And so, you know, those are two things that I think need to be addressed. And I'll also say that, you know, we've been asking for some training on Munetrics. And so would be great, even if it's through email or something, that we can get some dates to Chief Vincent so that we can get some training on our finances and also make that training available for the public as well.
Okay, thank you, trustee Gavin. Secretary Triplett.
Yes, Madam President, this is not a meeting where we vote on anything, and we do have issues that are in front of us and things that we need to go through and look through because this is just a work session. And so in support with what Trustee Gavin was saying too, as far as some of the concerns, I know that we cannot at this particular time address anything on it, but I do, you know, we can't respond back to public comments and what have you. However, those are things that we can surely make sure that are addressed in between the time of the next meeting that is called for the Board of Education. And so I agree with and this would give us an opportunity to really get through and look at some things, to get some more clarification on some things so we can know what we will be bringing to the public, and make sure that when this meeting is scheduled, that we're meeting all timelines and guidelines for those things that are of urgent addressing and concern, urgent matter.
Okay, thank you. My response would be, we are aware that we have a follow-up session that we anticipate our attorney from Troon to be present for. So my recommendation for the board would be that we, if Tuesday's standard have been a good date for us, if we could do next Tuesday, the 4th at 6 o'clock, special meeting, so that we can receive that opinion of council and then go through the items that are pertinent for our work session so that we're fully prepared on the 11th to come in and take votes.
Madam President,
Yes,
do you need a motion to support that, or is that just
and that's the FYI that I'm gonna schedule it for that date.
another question?
Yes,
Do we need a motion to request the legal opinion?
nope.
All right, so
So at this time,
for the vote?
yeah, we got Raquel making a comment and then we're gonna call the vote. And just a reminder, after Raquel's comment, the vote that we're taking at this particular time is to amend the agenda to allow for the superintendent for board report B1, the discussion regarding goals, and then open public comment and adjournment. Trustee Raquel Martin.
With Thursday, could we probably meet on Thursday?
Is Thursday a complication for anyone?
Is that the day before graduation?
It is. So that might not be the best date for staff. What about Wednesday? Wednesday the 5th, does that work for everyone? There's side conversations going on. I'm trying to get a response. Does Wednesday the 5th work for you?
So go.
Okay, so we're gonna proceed with the 4th for our special session. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for amendment of the agenda?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
No.
motion carried.
All right, thank you. And trustee Gavin, I know that your concern was about board report B2, so we'll ensure that we can kind of connect on being prepared for that at our meeting on the 4th. That'll just be a few days more that we're out. So at this particular time, with the amendment to the agenda. We are at Superintendent Board Checkpoint Agreement, which is Staff Report B1. As communicated via email, we do need to set goals for the superintendent for the remainder of the year. The board will make the recommendation of the goal focus areas. And then it's Dr. Butt's responsibility to come back to us with established SMART goals that are related to those particular areas of focus. And so I did ask for each member of the board to make an effort to communicate what you believe the 2 to 3 goals should be. I anticipate that we'll probably be very similar in our thoughts, possibly worded differently. So to try to make this as brief as possible, I'm just going to go down the table and ask if you prepared your goals. If you were trusting the members of the board, your remaining members, that's perfectly fine. You can just tell me pass. But I'm going to notate the goals provided by everyone. So we're going to start with trustee Treasurer Creighton.
Sure. One request that I made was to actually look at the feedback given. I didn't receive that, but I was requesting feedback that was given to the superintendent during his evaluation. We talked about some focal points and he said that he would set his goals around that. Also wanted to make sure that we could potentially get just a bullet list of our school improvement goals, district improvement goals, and also partnership agreement goals. And so I'm not sure where he is with that, but so the 3 goals that I outlined are culture and climate. We've received a lot of complaints, concerns, suggestions about staff, student, and also community culture and climate as it pertains to Ben Harbor area schools. And so I would like goals related to culture and climate. Academics, in academics, under culture and climate, I'm also thinking that under that's recruitment, retention, all of that is all encompassing in culture and climate, right? Because obviously if we're getting the responses like we've gotten today, it's going to affect enrollment. Seen a lot of conversations online about people celebrating, a few in this room today celebrating that their students were selected for school of choice. So it saddens me that there were situations that led them to apply to other districts, especially since some of them are making Ben Harbor area schools their school of choice and they live outside of the district. So that hardens my heart. So I'm hoping that we can get some culture and climate goals that are all encompassing with retention and recruitment. Academics, hoping that we can get some goals around academics and how we plan to improve those things. Literacy, everything done on academics. And then also financial goals. Obviously we've gotten our debt eliminated under this leadership and administration, excuse me, with the CFO and also Board of Education and Finance Committee. We've been able to solidify our finances. And so I'm hoping that we can get some goals that could be centered around keeping them stable and being able to maintain as we potentially transition board members, hoping that we can get some goals so that we know that all of our hard work won't go in vain.
Thank you. And to provide clarification, you did send the request, but I was unaware that Dr. Butts wasn't copied. It was sent.
He was on it.
It was sent to Bowens and me. And I didn't realize that. So I asked him, was he coming prepared with the things probably about 30 minutes to ensure he had them? And he wasn't copied on the email. When I went back and looked at it, he didn't know what I was talking about. And I didn't realize, I thought it was a response to the full school board, but
I did as well.
Yeah, it went to VP. I think VP Bowens responded with what his suggested goals were. So when you replied, it only went to him and somehow copied me, but I thought it was the full school board. So we'll ensure, we'll work on collecting that data as well, or getting that data to you, but he wasn't copied on it. Okay, Vice President Bowens.
Well, just
Go
to
ahead.
clarify, I don't think that was something that I wanted. He seemed to be confused about what we wanted, and so I was just saying, like, you can use school improvement goals,
Use
district
your
improvement
references.
goals. feedback to actually create goals. Because otherwise, obviously, we know those that plan to fail.
Right.
I mean, fail to plan to fail.
Okay, Vice President Bowens, I know you shared yours via email,
Yeah,
but so it's on
that
public
was
record.
sent, recruitment of staff, certified staff, when you look at our administration, we have some vacancies, some we could not do beyond our control. Also recruitment of students, at least if we can increase our score. Yesterday, we were at a meeting and I think our count of students is at never mind. But our count of students is not at a level that we would like. So I would like to see us, let's work at least increasing our student count and by 35 to 45%, if that's reasonable.
Our student count, you said 30 to 45%
Yes.
increase? Okay. All right, and so, Secretary Triplett,
Can you come back?
I sure can. Trustee Rocket Martin,
Those were similar to, what has been said.
can you please speak in the mic?
My goals are similar to those that have been said. I kind of looked at our partnership agreement to see what we've already got in place. And I know that to add additional goals on top of those goals would be a lot. And so I looked at the goals that we had in our partnership agreement, which are very good goals. And I said to increase student academic achievement, to increase student attendance, and also to retention of students and teachers, staff that we already currently have. So if we could get a plan in place to keep what we have, and I used the same percentages pretty much that they had in our partnership agreement.
Okay, so I have you stated student achievement, student attendance, and then student and staff retention.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Gavin.
Thank you, President Robinson. For me, the goals are not new. It's really just adhering to the goals that this board agreed upon with the strategic plan that have been visible throughout the district and the superintendent has been aware of. So in communication, I would just put, to make it a SMART goal, I would include some type of percentage, like at least a 10% improvement rather than us going backwards. At least, stop us from bleeding out and move us forward at least 10% in these areas. Ben Harbor area schools will engage and inform all stakeholders to maximize district support, so improving communication. Ben Harbor area schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. Ben Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety, and I would say, of the staff and students. And then there was another one. Ben Harbor area schools will increase student achievement as measured. I guess my only difference is that it requires the national assessments, which I'm not confident because they're racially biased, but I would say at least by the local, what the teachers are assessing their students' achievement. So improved student achievement. These are the things, these are not new goals. These are goals that everybody's already been aware of. They've been posted everywhere. And so if superintendent is aware of them, I would just like those goals to be a part of his daily work.
Thank you, Trustee Gavin. Secretary Triplett, are you ready? I can go if you would like me to.
Which please?
All right, so mine, of course, I agree with the things that have been said. Of course, you guys are probably sick of me saying it, but mine would definitely be the facilities master's plan. The master's facilities plan, my apologies, and ensuring that we have a stable plan secured for the operation of our buildings moving forward. And then, of course, improving academics, and then the student and staff retention. So similar to what everyone else has shared outside of the master's facilities plan. Secretary Triplett.
Well, for me, one thing that I would like to share with the Board of Education is for us to, if we will, when we look at the evaluation document. On the evaluation document, each area has what is called professional standards for educational leadership and educational leaders. And so as we look at the actual evaluation, because this is not carved in stone, but it's professional standards for educational leaders. So it might say, when we look at the area that we evaluated him on, it'll tell you what this professional standard is and what this entails and what we should what we should actually really be looking for, so that it won't be subjective, or it would just be, it would be some strict measurable pieces. And so I as far as governance and board relations, these areas are very, very critical. The public has seen, oftentimes we talk about questions being answered and asked and not answered, or those were that was an area of concern. We're talking about the relationship between the superintendent and the board. And that is something that, when we got, each one of us got on the board and went to our orientation, that's something that's really, really big, especially MASB. However, this is something that is necessary. So I would like, as it relates to governance and board relations, making sure that the information is accurate and on point, and that we're looking like a professional body that we all are. Community relations is an area that the superintendent scored pretty high in, but one thing that I think some emphasis needs to be placed on the district image, the image of the district, and what role does he play in that particular seat? Because right now, from what we're seeing and what we hear, and a lot of times it's brought before us, the image of the district has been affected in a mighty way. So, I would like to see that area as an area to be addressed. And one more, when we talk about staff relations, let's be real. We've already talked about recruitment, and we've talked about personnel management. That's a very, very serious piece that we need to, because if the staff is not together, if the staff, when you start hearing things from parents, and you're hearing things from teachers, and you're hearing things from administrators, and you're hearing the word bully, that's concerning. That is very, very, very concerning. So that's an area. I'll stop there.
Okay, so I think a lot of these are extremely similar enough. I don't think that we need additional conversation, because a lot of us are saying the same thing in different ways. So I'm just gonna go through what I heard from each trustee. And then I'll give Dr. Butts this, because he can actually kind of concise all of these into 3 measurable goals. They're all quite similar. So from Treasurer Creighton, I heard culture and climate, which includes recruitment and retention, academic improvement, and then financial goals. Vice President Bowens wants to focus on recruitment of staff and students with an increase of 30 to 45% student enrollment. Secretary Triplett, board superintendent relations with an example of accuracy of information. Community relations as it relates to the district image, and then staff relations as it relates to the culture and climate of the district. Rockette Martin, student achievement, student attendance, and student and staff retention. Trustee Gavin, adherence to the strategic plan with a percentage of, for example, 10% in improvement. She would like to ensure that there is a measurable nature to reaching the goals of the strategic plan. And then what I noted was master's facilities plan, academic improvement, and staff and student retention. And all of these are basically us saying the same thing in different ways. I want to make sure that I have everybody concise and accurate. Yes.
But as I hear you read those things, those are areas that we've all expressed concern, but those are broad areas.
Mhm.
And I think when we talk about measurable goals and when you have realistic goals
Mhm.
and measurable goals, you know, that we need to do some narrowing, if you will.
So Dr. Bus is going to have to establish the SMART goals himself. So he's gonna take our areas of focus and he's gonna establish the SMART goals and bring them back to us.
But I thought that the board, we put goals together.
So we,
That's what I
so,
understand.
so I can reference the email.
Yeah.
1 second. So the email that was forwarded on May 22nd
From,
from Mark Tobias or Dobias, if I'm Dobiash. Okay, notes regarding goals. If goals haven't been established, that should be the first step. The board should provide the superintendent with general goal areas. And then the superintendent should draft SMART goals for the board to consider. Once goals are finalized, the board should adopt the goals. Since the strategic plan drives the superintendent's work, he or she should not get more than 2, perhaps 3 additional goals. So we give him the areas of focus and he comes back with the SMART goals and the measurable nature of the goals. And then we have to ultimately agree on them. If there's some things that we think needs to be shifted, then we have that conversation at the table. But he's driving the ship, so we're giving him the direction. It's his job to tell us how he's gonna get there.
okay, and so when you talk about the strategic plan, I can only speak for myself. And I think that we have he's driving.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can drive a ship, but he's driving the bus,
He's steering the ship.
he's steering the ship
Mhm,
and driving the bus.
mhm.
So when we talk about the strategic plan, that I'm not asking us to respond at this particular juncture, but what do we know as Board of Education members? How much effort and time have we actually put into getting some understanding and even knowing, you know, these generic general reports about what's happening with the strategic plan? I mean, you know, we must inspect what we expect. And so I think that's a critical piece. So, you know, I just challenge us to, or charge us or ask that we all, and I use an inclusive pronoun, and I say we, including myself, that we look at that strategic plan and get an understanding, really, where are we?
Mhm.
And do we know this? If someone was to ask each one of us separately, what do we know about what has been happening with the strategic plan? What information do we have? What can we answer that question? And that's for us to answer. And I think we should go into that direction because this is very, very, very critical. So just summarizing, those are general, broad things, academics. Yeah, that's huge. Culture and climate, that's huge. But we have enough information, enough data that we could be more specific and do a little bit more narrow.
I'm gonna press, oh.
Treasurer Craig.
Yes, so, just to clarify, I guess the thing that I'm kind of confused about, and I'm not confused, but I'm using the word confused because I don't understand how, goals weren't established. So goals are established again by the evaluation, by the contract, by the strategic plan, by the partnership agreement. So if there's something else that we need to do, because we've already voted on all of those things with goals, and the goals are very similar as we've determined during this conversation. So what I thought was discussed, and obviously it wasn't in open session, but the synopsis of what I thought was discussed is that then the superintendent would decide on what are his specific actions or his specific focal points from those documents that were referenced, and his action plan on what he was going to do to move forward. He would establish this is what his focus will be and the timeline, and then we would move forward.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't like for us to sit here and say that goals were not established. Goals are established in several documents and have been approved by the board. And so right now, today, if there's a motion that needs to be taken on goals, again, I can make that motion. And then what we need from the superintendent is his action plan on how he's actually going to now, using a SMART goal template, unpack those goals and turn them into results. And we've also provided incentives for goals that we have established, and we've put our money where our mouth is. And so we do have goals, we do have expectations, we do have checkpoints, you know, and so right now, I would like to make a motion if that's what's needed for us to move forward with establishing these things so that it can be official and our superintendent can move forward with his plan or how he's going to improve our schools by accomplishing the goals that's been set out for him to do. One thing that I don't want to get into the habit of doing is this is a governing board, this is not a working board. So I don't want to continue to be put in a situation where we're expected to do so much work to be able to do our job, which is governance, oversight, and accountability. I want to govern, I want to provide oversight, and I want to hold people accountable. And so at this time, I would like to make a motion that we take a vote to establish the goals for this checkpoint agreement for the superintendent in order to move forward as printed in B1.
Okay, so then my question for you, as it relates to B1 and what you stated, all of these.
For support first, or what are you saying?
Well, I want to make sure I understand, because B1 doesn't have anything noted. We just went through it. And so a lot of these are similar to what we already put in the evaluation for incentives. So I guess I'm trying to clarify, what are we actually inserting into B1, because there's nothing written in there currently.
Thank you for the clarity.
Okay.
So at this time, I would like to make a motion to complete B1 using goals that are in the partnership agreement, that are in the strategic plan, the district improvement plan, the superintendent evaluation, the superintendent contract, and any other suggestions that were made today.
Okay, can you repeat? I'm writing it down. Say that one more time.
No
Partnership
problem.
agreement, evaluation,
Partnership agreement, district improvement plan, school improvement plan, superintendent contract that was voted on, the superintendent evaluation tool that we use, and the
the
concerns,
feedback expressed today.
yes, and an evaluation.
So I want to make sure everybody is understanding what she's saying. We went through this. These goals are all connected to everything we've already done. And so what she's saying is she wants to make sure it's clear to the public that we're not establishing new goals. These are pre-existing goals. And so we are making the recommendation to utilize partnership agreement, evaluation, district improvement plans, school improvement plans, superintendent contract, and then this feedback, so that we can proceed with Dr. Butts then establishing his SMART goals to give us more meat as to how these things will be accomplished.
And as a further point of clarity, when we established that contract last year, one of the things that I did ask for, and I don't know if this is in the minutes, but an entry plan to know what goals that he was going to work on in his first year. And so those are all things that can be used to now say,
Help
this
him
is what I'm
establish
working on, this is my focus, so that we can measure. When we agreed on that contract, we gave him some things that he should work on, and we even put $5,000 bonuses so that we could provide an incentive if he reached the goals that set out. So I think we're more than prepared and capable of moving forward with this resolution to be able to now figure out if the superintendent has worked towards those goals and what feedback we can provide.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
I was just wondering, is there a number that we have in mind for the number of goals he has to have?
So it's 2 to 3. He's gonna create the goal areas, and then he can tell us what he's gonna do to achieve those goals.
Okay.
But the thing about it is, all of these plans are already written out. He just has to concise his information. Trustee Gavin.
Hey, President Robinson, I guess I'm looking for clarity because my understanding of the checkpoint is like us commenting on the superintendent's progress towards the goals that have been set. And it sounds like all of the board members are already saying that we've already established the goals. And so if we've already established the goals, they're in writing, it's in all the documentation, then why wouldn't we now be speaking to our concerns about the superintendent's progress on those goals that he is already aware of?
Because the superintendent has not responded with giving us the SMART goals as to how he's going to do these things and how they're gonna be measurable. So, and I know that initially we were expecting to come back and provide feedback, but if you look at it, we kind of did the feedback in our comments as to what areas we have concerns about and what we want to focus on. So even though we didn't really take the shift that we initially thought we were gonna take, we've done it in our conversation this evening.
President Robinson, there is a motion on the floor. Is it dead?
Oh, it technically died because we went into conversation. I'm sorry. So let's pause for a second. Is there a motion to support Treasurer Creighton? Is there a second or support to Treasurer Creighton's motion?
Support.
Okay, the motion was made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Secretary Triplett. Secretary Triplett, you had a question?
Yeah, I, when you talk about there, like, Trustee Gavin did state that there are some things, the work does not have to stop with this particular checkpoint, because there were some things, we've done the evaluation. We have the goals and different things in all those different areas and what have you. So as we get ready to, in June, it's supposed to be a checkpoint. A special, we're supposed to meet with him, and there should be a checkpoint on these areas to find out where superintendent is in these particular things. Also, when you talk about the district improvement plan and the school improvement plan, the district improvement plan should be the plan that he operates from, because the school improvement plans are separate to each individual building, but they should be aligned with the actual district, the goals that the district improvement plan has. So the DIP is the area, we don't need the district improvement plan and the school improvement plan, because if that is done correctly, they are already in, there should not be one school in this district that has a school improvement plan that is not in alignment with the district improvement plan. So they can take the school improvement plan out, and if you say the district improvement plan, that would cover every area.
Okay, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
I'm confused. I thought there was supposed to be questions, concerns, comments, and we went right into a vote. So
We just did that.
no, that's not what happened.
But, okay,
We
so
were
what,
talking,
so what happened is she made a motion. I allowed the conversation and the discussion to take place before she had her support. So majority of us have made a comment, and then I reopened back up so that we can finish. And Secretary Triplett, I think it's the person that had a question, or you had a question first immediately after that. So we've had conversation on that motion.
So we're voting to establish the goals that have already been established. Just trying to get clarity, because
Treasurer Creighton, can you repeat your motion?
Secretary
We've already had 4 people to vote. I'm not sure if that's appropriate or what is.
I think she just wants clarification before she takes her vote. Can you restate your motion?
Who's taking minutes?
Secretary Triplett is taking the roll call sheet.
Yeah, I'm doing the roll call sheet because of the responsibility of the superintendent to make sure that the minutes are kept and all those papers and what have you is turned into us. So that the recording is taking the minute for this meeting. I am not the recording secretary. I'm the secretary of the Board of Education.
Okay.
I think I was trying to get clarity in, before you got the support, I was trying to get clarity.
Okay.
And then Secretary Triplett said something about like, there are different types of goals and this is not, so I'm really confused.
Okay, so I got it. So full transparency, received the email that says, the purpose is to review progress towards the goals the board has given the superintendent. They should be held approximately every quarter. The check-ins should be held in open session. The board should provide feedback regarding the progress the superintendent is making. So in the follow-up email, it talked about that goals hadn't been established. And so to Trustee Gavin's point, goals are established in all of the areas that we've discussed tonight. But in order and in an effort to move forward, right? Treasurer Creighton made a motion to take a vote so that we can reestablish or remind the superintendent of the goals so that in the next meeting, we can actually go over the checkpoint and he can provide SMART goals and his action plan on how he plans to execute the goals that have been established or reestablished or resupported. So I made a motion and it was second. And also we are in the middle of the vote. And so that's
Okay.
what we are voting on currently.
I was trying to understand if we were voting to reestablish or remind, or if we were voting to establish. That's what I was trying to get clarity.
So we're voting to reestablish and remind, to move forward so that Dr. Betts can come back and give us the SMART goals in the manner that we need so that they can be measurable.
To remind, thank you.
Mhm.
Initially, I thought I heard established. So yes.
Okay, so
To carry.
she was the last vote.
Yes.
Did we get Doyle? We got Doyle?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so at this particular time, we are at open public comment, and as a reminder, we don't have any board or superintendent comments this evening. So immediately after open public comment, we'll have adjournment. So is there anyone here for open public comment today? And for those that are coming forth, do you need the public comment statement read, or do you remember from earlier? Okay, you have the floor.
You might have to push the button, hold it down to the top.
Is anybody here from
No.
technology?
That's good.
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Miss Macy Chen. I'm one of the new district social workers here. So I just wanted to make your acquaintance. I just started in September, so this is the first time I've been able to come to a Board of Education meeting, but just wanted to put a face to everyone and so that you guys can also recognize me. And just to thank you all for all that you're doing.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? That was a very good public comment. That was refreshing. Pleasure to meet you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ron Singleton again. I was listening to your goals and objectives and things. Definitely glad to hear Madam President mention about facilities, there's a lot of buildings, school buildings is empty. Matter of fact, one in Calvin Britton that we get beat up real good at the city commission about, because, I guess they think we have something to do with that. So I'm glad to see that facilities are on there, and hopefully, I know a lot of those buildings are probably too far gone, especially, the Calvin Britton building, the grass grew up and stuff, and it became a place for folks to kind of go, if they think it's abandoned, they go in and start doing things. I think it just recently had a fire there, roof caved in. But somebody had put on Facebook, what the commission doing? Nothing the city commission could really do. I mean, that's a school board operation, there's some other schools like Bar School and stuff. So I'm glad to see that something is in the works to start dealing with the facilities, because when people see the facilities and, or if they decide whether, my kids should go to that district and they begin to look at some of the assets and stuff, they may, take those type of things in consideration. So glad to see something is on the table for dealing with the facilities.
Thank you. Anyone else for open public comment?
Good evening. Darrell Jackson. I'm the chairman of the Benton Harbor Athletic Sports Club. I do have a concern about these empty buildings. Number one, we trying to get some type of facility to train these kids, 5th and 6th graders, in all sports. Other concern was Benton Harbor High School track. Like to know when the construction going to begin for the whole entire the football field. Matter of fact, the whole thing. We was hoping that if that track get fixed, we can hold the Benton Harbor, actually the old Catamara games, Benton Harbor or the Barron County Olympic games. Mr. Tripper, I'm pretty sure you're aware of that. The other thing is it possible that these vacant schools, could we somehow do some agreement or purchase one of the schools to run our program? We talking about 5th and 6th graders like it used to be back in the day. Also, that will help these kids stay in y'all community, this district. That's the feedback I've been getting from a lot of people. If we had something going here to keep them from going to other districts. So that's my question. You know, is it possible that the Benton Harbor Athletic Sports Club can purchase one of these buildings?
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Thank you. My name is Dwayne L. Seats, live at 1149 Salem Avenue, City of Benton Harbor, Michigan. And I do want to commend President Robertson, Superintendent, Vice President, trustees, all that for the betterment of the school system. What's going on now? I want to say this for Dr. Butts, and he has been a true representation, somebody who is invested in this community, bought a house here, wants to stay here. I know they put it on paper that he wanted to go somewhere else, but I think the Tiger is doing too much. It's right behind him, so if he tried to get out of here, the Tiger might get him. I do commend you seriously for what you're doing, and I've heard a good representation from the community and from the schools and from the kids. But I want to continue to talk about divisive behavior of individuals who have not the best interest for the school system and want to see it fail. We have tremendous talent that have graduated from Benton Harbor High School who are everywhere else. They're in Kalamazoo, they were in Grand Rapids, they were in other areas. And you don't want people to run from Benton Harbor, but you want them to run to Benton Harbor to be able to work, to have a job. And this, I know, we do it at Benton Harbor City with city managers and city employees. But when you have people who are divisive, there's nothing you can do right for some people. And seriously, in all seriousness, I think we need to look within ourselves to make sure we're doing the best thing we can for the children. It's not for me. I'm gonna tell you how old I am. That was Mr. Triplett was my school. He represented us in class. I don't know if class president or president of the class or whatever they call it, but advisor, that's what he was. I did. No, he was a little before me. 1994, he was, and we respected him. We had teachers that respected us. You didn't have teachers that were having nooses in their front yard and all kind of other stuff. They're talking about they representing Emmett Till, mother, and all that kind of foolishness. But we need to get back to the heartbeat of getting these kids education. Because I think the greatest frustration is education. We don't need more recreation, we need more education. And I'm willing to partner hand in hand with any of you. And I mean this heart from my bottom of my heart. I went to Lansing when they were talking about shutting down the schools. I was at when they said they were shutting down the schools, and I said these words, and it's on record. I told the governor, either you're with us or you're against us. And I say that to this day. If you're not for the children, I know you let me finish my comment, Ms. Robinson, I understand. I done been ahead and done this before, about 2 times with you, and you ain't gonna do that no more. But if you're not with the children of Benton Harbor, and I want to commend every one of you for Miss Benton Harbor, for Miss Blossom Time. It's tremendous to have somebody represent us in this county and in this area. And it's a job well done for all of us. But we can have our kids represented throughout the county, throughout the state. And I ask you not, I'm asking you not to cooperate with divisive behavior. Because people might not be off tilt. And we cannot play, and I'm serious when I say this, because I was in the Marine Corps, we cannot play with people who have not some things matter. And we know what that means. When you have mental disorders, there's nothing to play with. People are shooting up, they're shooting up schools, they're shooting up churches, they're shooting up everywhere.
Mr. C.
We cannot play with it. So I'm asking you not to play with this kind of behavior. And I thank you, school board members, for your time.
Thank you. I think part of the reason that you run out of time, Mr. Cease, is that you open with about 3 minutes and then you go strong into the point when your time has run out. I know as a pastor, you gotta warm us up, but you gotta get straight to the point on this, Mike. But we appreciate you. Okay, so at this particular time, the next item of business is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Madam President?
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton. Vice President Bowens, are you the support?
Yes.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Vice President Bowens that we adjourn. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, hearing none. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes?
Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried. Meeting
Okay, so I call this meeting officially adjourned at 9:05 p.m. Have a great evening.